You are listening to Kick It, Don't Quit It, a motivational spiritual podcast seeking to spread love and grace. We are thankful that you have tuned in. So without further ado, come and kick it with the girls. Just don't quit on the world. Hi, this is Holly, and I'm so glad to be back. We're talking about success and how we get there and the journey to get there and how tough it can be, but how worth it is. So, and success really covers all different areas, whether it's losing weight, whether it's having a successful spiritual life or being professionally successful. I know I, for one, want success in all of those parts of my life, but the journey to get there sometimes stinks. So I wanted just to open up that conversation because right now I'm in pursuit myself of a promotion. I'm also trying to lose weight. I've currently lost over 200 pounds.
Amen.
Which the journey to that wasn't easy.
No.
It stunk.
It never
It still
is.
does because, it's a lifestyle.
A lifestyle that takes away everything that tastes good and means anything to you in life. I am currently on that process as well. I went to the gym 3 times this week.
Yay.
Woot woot. I am sore. I worked out with a trainer today, and she had me do some exercises, some stretches at the beginning that have changed my life. Like, I am so excited. Like, I told so many people about it today. But back to the topic of success, I listen to a lot of podcasts. And when I say a lot of podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts. But I have 4 that I listen to extremely regularly. I have it's Passion City Church's podcast. I listen to Transformation Church's podcast. I listen to Elevation Church's podcast, and then I listen to a podcast called The Basement with Tim Ross. And I cannot tell you which podcast it was. I know it was one of those 4 because I know it was a Christian-based podcast that I was listening to, but they were talking about success, and one of the comments they made, and Megan hates this comment, she hates this vocabulary, but they said success starts with sucks.
Tell her to stop cussing, y'all. Just give it up.
But it's true that to succeed, you have to fail. Like, there has to be failure involved. There has to be things that don't work to be able to figure out the things that do work. And I did a little bit of research this week since we knew what we were talking about. And I wrote down some quotes. The first one is by Walter Churchill, and it says, "Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." So it's going from things that don't work to another thing that doesn't work, and knowing that there is success in the end. You're just figuring out those things that don't work before you get to the things that do. And then Henry Ford said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intellectual." So with more smarts, with more insight into it. So Thomas Edison says, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
I love that because I live with memes and GIFs and clever sayings. And, I saw one today that said, I don't want you to compete with me. There's no sense in competing with me because I want you to win.
Oh, I saw that on your Facebook and I was like, that is so sweet. And that is so Sister Holly. And for those of you who know Sister Holly, her Facebook has always got all the cutest little sayings or fun. Either you're going, oh, or you're laughing out loud because they're hilarious, whatever it is. And so, but I saw that this morning and I was like, that is just so sweet. And I was like, that's the way we should be. That's the way it should be with our walking with Christ, our walk with other people, our walk with our spouses, is that, we want them to win. Not in spite of us and not always because of us.
Right.
But whatever it takes, we want them to win.
So I've been reading this book called 101 Tactics of Spiritual Warfare by Jennifer LeClaire. And she talks a lot about how the enemy, different ways that the enemy comes at us. And when I'm in pursuit of something, I don't want to stink at it. I don't want to fail. Nobody wants to fail.
Right.
And the enemy certainly wants us to fail. So what he does is he uses real life things. He uses true things. He uses the truth to lie. And so while I'm in pursuit of losing weight, while I'm in pursuit of going to the next level at church or the next level at work, he reminds me that I'm not qualified. You don't have this degree. You don't have this education. You're not equipped with what it takes to do that. And so they begin as thoughts that I entertain.
Right.
And they start to build blocks because what I do is I speak them out loud and I sign an agreement. I now become in alignment with what the enemy has told me. Because at some point during my life, someone said, you're not qualified. So it was true for something. And because it was true for something at one time, I now become in agreement that that's who I am. And I start to build strongholds in my life where the spirit isn't working and comes up against that, because now I'm agreeing with the enemy that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not qualified. And so I allow that to stop me while I'm trying to succeed, while I'm trying to, in my pursuit. But I've stopped doing that. I refuse to allow the enemy to stop me from succeeding.
Right.
Because even if I fail, doesn't mean I'm not qualified. Doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It just means
And just
I'm
because
learning.
you've done that in the past doesn't mean that you have to continue to do that.
Yeah.
There's so many times we get stuck. Well, this is the way I've always done it. Well, maybe that needs to change, and that doesn't need to be the way that you do that anymore. The definition of insanity is to continue to do something that doesn't work over and over again, thinking that it will. And so it's if it's not working, change it. And you're the only person in your life that can do that. You can have friends and family who come and tell you what you need to do, but unless you physically do that, it's never going to change. So you have to actually, my husband can change the way he eats, and he can do this and he can do that, and he can lose all the weight he wants to, but that doesn't affect my weight. It doesn't affect how I look at myself. In all actuality, it makes me look at myself and think worse of myself, because I'm like, well, he's putting in the effort and he's making himself better and he's getting healthy, and here I am still sitting on the couch eating the ding dongs and the ho-hos and just putting on the extra weight, and so I can't do it for him. I have to do it for me. I have to put in the effort because I want to look better, because I want to be healthier. Not because I want somebody to look at me and be like, oh, well, she looks nice. No, I want to be able to go outside with my kids and run around the yard. And especially, I'll have grandbabies in the next few years. I want to know that I can go outside and push them on the swing set and run around and chase them around the yard and not be like I'm pulling for air, like I need an oxygen tank from work or whatever. I want to know that I can do that and that I'm going to live for years to come and see them grow up. And so I have to put in that effort. I have to take what has failed, what has not worked in the past, and figure out what has worked and just focus on that, And I think there are a lot of times when we're pushing for something, we focus too much on the failures. We focus on the things that didn't work instead of pulling the things that did work out of that. Because just because something failed didn't mean everything didn't work.
Right.
It just means that one thing didn't.
Well, and whenever you walk into my house, Erin and Holly, you'll notice the scripture on the wall that says all things work together for the good of those who love God. And so as you go through these journeys to success and you have failures and you experience those hang-ups and those things that maybe I wish I wouldn't have done, or I know now I could have done better. It all turns around and works out for the good because you learned a valuable lesson, and now you're holding a mic, sharing it with people who are listening to you. So those hardships in your weight loss, Holly and Erin, I mean, people are getting to hear about that now because it all comes around and it works for the good of those who love God.
Yeah. Well, my hardships are self-inflicted most of the time.
But that's probably the truth. I think they say this now, everybody's truth.
I mean, especially if you're talking about weight loss, I mean, I'm not going to say nobody. Most people out there who struggle with weight issues, they didn't get where they are because somebody else shoved food down their throat.
No, I mean, and that's absolutely true. And it's not just with weight loss, though. I mean, spiritually, my stumbling blocks have been because of me.
Yeah.
It's been self-inflicted. It's because I struggle with self-discipline. Financially, my hardships, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, have been self-inflicted because I did not exercise self-discipline. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I came in here tonight, Sister Megan had this big spread of all these goodies because I've had a birthday this week, and I sat there and I did not have any self-restraint at all. Well, those things I have control over. I'm not out of control, but if you show me one part of your life that's out of control, I'll show you another part of your life that's probably out of control too. So
I felt, and I'm gonna pat my own self on the back because
go on, girl.
because I have. I mean, this week I have put effort in, and I know it's just a week, but a week is a start. And I was like, I'm going to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So my alarm went off on Monday and I shut it off. And I was like, I'll go tomorrow. And then I tried to go back to sleep and I just tossed and turned for the next 2 hours. And I was like, so Tuesday, I got up and I went. Wednesday, I didn't get home till late Tuesday. So Wednesday I was like, I didn't get home till late. I'll go tomorrow. Not thinking it's Wednesday night. I'm not going to get home till late because I have church. So it wouldn't have mattered either day. But I got up Thursday and I went to the gym. And then today I knew I had to go because I had the meeting with the trainer. So there was no issue today. I was having to go. But it's been a struggle. And then today I went to Sonic and I was getting me something to eat and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get an extra long chili cheese coney. And then I was like, Erin, do you need that? Because if you get it, you're gonna eat all of it. You're not gonna stop just because you get full. You're gonna eat all of it. And I have been listening to some messages where they've talked about gluttony, and they were like, what is gluttony? And they said it's the first bite you take after you're full. That's gluttony. So I was like you
guilty.
So many times guilty. And I said, I'm going to get the small one because I know that we're having cupcakes and things at Megan's. I know if I'm still hungry, there's sweets. You don't need the sweets, but you know you're going to end up eating something like that. So don't put that in your way to make it a stumbling block. And so I didn't. I was very good. I did what I should have. Now, was it the most healthy thing I could eat? No, it's not. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. And if I mess up, I'm going to be like, Erin, you messed up. But tomorrow I'm going to do better. One of the things that I know Megan has struggled with is that when she messes up, she beats herself up.
Oh.
And we went out the other night and she was like, oh, I shouldn't have had this. And I was like, Megan, just do better tomorrow. Because you're not doing yourself any good.
Yes.
When you degrade yourself over and over again because you messed up. You just have to pick yourself back up and tomorrow do better.
I like what you said, just to kind of rewind the podcast for just a moment. You made a statement about not setting a stumbling block the foot long instead of the 6-inch in front of you. How many times, and I pose this question, listeners, answer this within yourselves right now when you hear this. How many times do you intentionally allow something or place something in your path that you know is going to hinder you to your success? How many times do we make decisions and choices with people, foods, places? Whatever the stumbling block is for you. I don't know what yours is. I sure know what mine is. But how many times do we do that? To rewind the tape to my early on years, even earlier on than how early I am now. But, I can remember saying to myself, I am no longer going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to get blackout belligerent, and I'm not going to make those decisions no more, because every time I have, it has served me lots of hurt, lots of regret, lots of sorrows. So why would I continue to invite that, right? So I would still go to these gatherings saying I'm not going to do it. And then I would see my favorite thing right there, and I picked up my stumbling block. So I erred in my life by continuing to go to the place I knew I was going to err.
If you hang around the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut.
Yes.
And I heard it said a while back, and I can't give credit to who it was, but they're genius. I heard it said that...
It was totally me.
It must have been Erin. Claim it, girl. Claim it. But they said that if you want to become healthy, you have to make that your identity. How do you make it your identity? By doing it all the time without fail. By doing it all the time and being consistent and being dependable in it and being trustworthy in it. So you can trust that I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I can guarantee I'm going to see you there on those days. That's the healthy girl. She really watches what she eats. She doesn't go and pig out on cupcakes. I know when she's probably not going to eat that. She'll want some flavored water. So I'll make sure I go, and it becomes a part of our nature. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a runner, you have to take on the nature of a runner. Mm-hmm. If you want to be someone who's spiritual, you have to take on the person. You have to take on the identity of a spiritual person. That person prays every day. She's so spiritual. I know I'm going to go to her. She's really spiritual because I know she prays every day. Well, the reason I know that she prays every day is because she prays every day without fail. There's no break in it. She doesn't go backwards. She's committed. It's her truth. It's part of who she is.
And there's always evidence that follows that.
Yes.
So you hear this person who's well versed in prayer. I'm not talking about fancy murmurings and all of that, but you can see it. You can feel it. The runner, there's evidence that she's running. She's lost a lot of weight, and now you see her running with a smile on her face because it's become a part of her. And so there's evidence. We can claim to be something all day long, but at some point we got to get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Put the yoga britches on, put the sweatshirt on, and get on to the gym, so to speak.
4 comes so early.
But I'll tell you, I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning for some months now. And now even on my day off, I naturally wake up at that time because it's become a part of my character. Everybody teases me because I go to bed early because they know that's who I am. And it's funny because even my phone, like on Wednesdays, will say 45 minutes to this address. The reason why it recognizes that on Wednesdays at that time, it's going to be 45 minutes to my next destination without me doing anything is because I do it so often, it's predicting my next move. Even my phone knows my nature.
So Holly shared this with me, y'all, about how she was getting up at 4:30 and she was doing, and this is just her, by the way, so when you hear me kind of list some detail that if you don't do this, that doesn't make anybody wrong or anything. It's just what she wanted to do for her. She wanted to dive a little deeper with the Lord, I believe. And so she decided, I'm going to do something sacrificial that's eventually going to become a part of me. So she shared with me how she was waking up at 4:30 and she was spending an hour long studying the Word of God, doing a Bible study, and just opening up her heart first thing before she starts her work day and her family's up and she's there to serve them, how she's going to make this who she is. And so that really inspired me on me just spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally, to be honest, because my truth, y'all, I hear that a lot and I hate it, and now I'm saying it, but I would go to bed at 11. Everybody's asleep. My husband's asleep by 8:30. He's like a pawpaw, and I stay up for the next 2.5 hours watching my favorite show. And how I would validate that was I work very hard, which I do. I clean the house, which I do. I do the laundry. I take care of the kids, take care of my husband. I go to church. I'm active in ministry. I serve people, and I do my best. But
you work a full-time job.
Yes. But I was doing myself a disservice because I was eliminating things out of my life that were going to make me better. And so Holly shared these things with me, and so I have adopted some of what she's doing. So now I go to bed by 9. And I'm waking up at 5 o'clock every morning. My goal is to get up at 4:30 because I want to allot time for the gym. That's my next level, next devil. I really want to adopt that into my life. But it all starts. It starts with action. So
well, it sucks.
It does.
Getting up early in the morning, or taking time out to do or working on cleaning one part of your house every day and getting your house, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
The process stinks.
It does.
I mean, and that's what we want to do, is we want to skip the process.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to skip the process, you're not going to get a genuine end result. Mm-mm. It's going to be temporary.
Yes.
Maybe you get success and, maybe you get some success from it. It just doesn't last because it hasn't become a part of who you are.
You're going to get the glitter, but you're not going to get the diamond. Right. You're going to get
the cubic zirconia.
Yeah, you're going to get those little bit of glimmers of success, those glimmers of hope, those glimmers of the things that you want in your life, whether it be weight loss, whether it be a stronger connection to God, a stronger connection to your husband, a cleaner house, whatever it is, you're going to get glimmers of that, but you won't get the full-fledged thing. You'll never see the weight come off and stay off. You'll never see the relationship that you should have with God. You'll never have that connection so completely where you feel like you are stepping on his heels,
right?
Instead of feeling like you're searching for the footsteps.
Yeah.
You will never have that connection with your spouse to where you finish each other's sentences and You know what they're gonna do
Sorry.
or where they're gonna
Ray
go.
hates it when I do that.
I can see that. But I mean, you will never have that where God really wants you to be.
Yeah.
Because God cares about us completely. He cares about us not just in our relationship with Him. Now, don't get me wrong. He wants that close relationship. He longs for that close relationship, that to where you're stepping on His heels. He longs for that. That's what He wants. But He also wants you to be connected to your spouse. He wants it to be to where you are excited to go home and spend time with them, and that you see the things they're doing and you recognize the changes in them. He wants you to be healthy. He wants you to have a long life. He wants you to have all the things that you want and desire in your life. He wants that for you. But He's also not just going to give it to you.
Right.
Anything worth having is worth working for. Because when you work for it, you appreciate it more.
So I'm gonna I'm finna about to bust myself out here in just a second.
Right now she's texting, so she can only do one thing at a time.
Well, my daughter had surgery today, so she asked me if she could take her medicine now. If it was time to take her pain medicine, so I'm having to keep her on a schedule. So, so here's what I do. Okay, so I get on this. Okay, I'm changing. I'm constantly trying to change myself. Right. I want to get better in all aspects of my life, so I get like just feet first, head first, not feet first, head first. And I go all out and I start doing really great. Then I start getting aggravated
because other
people aren't doing it. Because maybe Ray's not doing it and he's not appreciating all the hard work I'm putting into it.
Right.
Or, you don't want a healthy meal? What are you talking about? You don't want a healthy meal. Don't you want to live? Or,
if you eat that, you will die.
Yeah. Or it's like I'm going to my third service this week, or my sixth service this week in this church, and 4 hours away has got revival. Let's go right now.
Why don't you want to do this?
And I'm like, what? But I get kind of like aggravated with my husband because he doesn't want to just jump into everything like head first like I do.
Hi.
So I'm like, Ray,
Forgot your dish.
He is like so chill and even keeled, and I'm so extreme in everything that I have to remember that just because I am ultra focused on something, I can't put that expectation on him. That is so not fair.
That's good, Holly. I've been on the receiving end on that. Not on you specifically, but from other people.
Megan.
No. In my life, though, I've had people in my life, and again, I'm not using Holly Leona as an
By the way, that is not my middle name.
Hey, I named her. Hey guys, I do this really thing where I name people and like I say it, and then people around us start to adopt that, and they call these people that are close to me these things, and then they're like, "Is that even their real name?" And I'm like, "No, I never said it was."
For me, she only calls me by my real
full name though,
my
full name, and it's very quick.
It is. And she's not going to do it on the podcast because
she doesn't want nobody knocking at her door. Where was I going?
Holly.
What'd she do?
I don't know.
I busted myself out.
Sorry.
We got to keep her on track.
Squirrel. Anyway, I've had people around me. They were like gung ho about something, and then they started expecting me to be gung ho, and I'm like, listen here, Linda. If I want to eat 15 cheese sticks, I'm going to eat 15 cheese sticks. I'm teasing. That's 14 now.
And then she called me and Holly and was complaining because she ate 14 cheese sticks.
Anyway.
And I'm like, don't you want to live?
I'm doing the fishing pole thing, and that means reel it in, ladies. So anyway, I love that you've adopted that, Holly, because that can actually hurt the people around you. Because back to our very first recording podcast, if y'all followed us through up until this third episode, certain people have certain convictions, and certain people feel led to work on certain pieces of them, and just because I want to work on my health doesn't mean that the next sister does, or brother, and I should never place that expectation on them.
And not everybody is at the same place at the same time.
No.
Just because Sister Holly's been working on her weight loss for a couple of years now. Well, for a while now.
A bajillion.
For a while now.
She
And
is a
I've
skinny
gone through,
mama.
I went through, when we first met, if you listen to the first podcast, you'll remember that we said that me and Sister Holly, when I first met her, we went and worked out together. And I was going through a divorce, and then I got remarried and had 6 kids to take care of, and the gym went by the wayside, and then I got pregnant, and I had another kid, and I gained all that weight back.
Kids always ruin our
They
bodies.
just ruin it.
Did I say that?
And I'm now at the place I was back then, where I was like, okay, well, my kid is now 8 years old, 7, 8 years old.
It's just baby fat, Erin. It's just baby fat.
They no longer have the baby fat, so I can no longer claim it as baby fat.
I always claimed I was just big bone, but I've never seen a fat skeleton.
Hey, I've heard my mom say that, and I was like, "Mom, that's not really a thing."
Yeah, so there was when I was younger. There was some things spoken to me and over me. I was told my dad's family is a larger family. They all have weight issues. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
Wait, what?
They have health issues. A spade.
It's a
let's
card.
Just call a spade, which just means let's call it what it is.
Okay, I learned something, y'all.
Yeah. So they have weight issues. My grandmother had a gastric bypass when I was little bitty, because she was very large. And my aunts and my dad, they all have weight issues, and they have health issues because of that. And my mother, on the other hand, is a little bitty tiny thing. Still is. My sister is a little bitty tiny thing. And I was told that I might as well be prepared, that I was going to be big like my dad's side of the family, not little like my mama's. And I didn't gain weight until after I started having kids. I was like a size 8, between a 5 and an 8, the whole time I was in high school, and then in my 20s. And then I had kids, and the weight came on, and I never really did anything to take it off until, like I said, my youngest son was like 7, 8 years old, and I was like, okay, there's no baby fat left on him, so I can't have any baby fat left on me. And so I started to the gym and changing the way I was eating, and I lost the weight. And then I got remarried and had another kid, and I put the weight back on, and now we're at the same spot. And I'm like, I'm tired of being here, and sometimes we just finally get tired of being where we were or where we are, and that forces us to find a different form of success.
I always heard the term poverty creates ingenuity. Well, so does being heavy.
Yeah.
So I've had, many people know I was 444 pounds at one time, and I've had both the sleeve and the bypass. I had a bypass revision. So I get a lot of, oh, you took the easy way. And I'm like, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. It was not easy. And it still isn't. I still struggle with my weight. I still have, my whole life is, I've struggled with it. So, you really look for ways to be able to have the things that you love, but different versions of it.
Yes.
And to be able to not deprive yourself and be able to recognize when you've gotten off track and then realign yourself again and course correct.
Hey, that was so spiritual, Holly.
Well,
That is so spiritual.
but you really can parallel that with
Yeah.
all parts of your life. But I mean, at this point right now, I've put on some weight from my lowest, and I can tell. I mean, I can feel it. You may not be able to tell to look at me, but I can feel it. And so I've got to make some changes. Start
realigning.
cooking. Yeah, I've got to start doing things like meal prepping. I've got to make sure that I've got snacks and things available. I've got to, I would take a frozen dinner and I would zhuzh it up with, broccoli and make it, fancier. And so there's little tricks and things that I would do to make sure that I had the best options available and stop buying things like peanut butter Pop-Tarts and cupcakes. Oh, it is such a thing, and they are delicious. But I don't buy them. I don't buy Pop-Tarts for the house because I can't stay out of them. There are things I don't get cereal because I can't stay out of
I
it.
can't have cereal or chips.
There's just some things I know that I don't have
Control.
I don't have control.
I lose
so.
control.
It's back to the self-control thing.
Yeah.
And Jesus wants us to have self-control.
Yes.
And because when we don't have self-control, it morphs into addictions. And food can absolutely be an addiction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, food is definitely an addiction. And a lot of times there are people who will say, well, I'm not addicted to anything, or I've never been addicted to drugs, or I've never had an alcohol addiction. But, but maybe you're 20 pounds heavier than you should be. I mean, most of the time it's more than that. But, I mean, there are things. Can you pass up that cupcake sitting on the counter? Can you?
No.
Can you? That chocolate chip cookie that just came out of the oven. Can you just eat one?
The trick is don't have the chocolate chip cookies coming out of the oven. I remember at where I worked at before, we had like this chili cook-off, and this guy who I also go to church with makes like this world-renowned deer chili, which is, oh my gosh, it was so amazing, and I would look forward to it every fall whenever he would make it. So I'm about 100 pounds down at this point, and I'm sitting in the break room and I'm smelling all these different chilies wafting. He's making a big bowl of it. It's melted with cheese and sour cream and Fritos, and I mean, I am just like melting in my seat. And I knew I couldn't have it, and I had been doing really well for a long time, and I literally started to bawl right there in the break room. And he looked over at me and he said, "Dude, what is wrong with you?" And I said, "I just want some so bad, but I know that my body is allergic to that, because when I eat that, I swell up. I gain weight.
Well, you don't stop.
And I can't stop. Just like a frenzy happens, like when an alcoholic has alcohol, or when a heroin addict is got heroin. I feel that same frenzy when I start eating and can't stop. So I started to sit there and bawl, and I'll never forget that. And I thought, this has got complete control over me. I cannot allow this anymore. I've got to get control of myself. And I still fight it you guys witnessed the cupcake episode a little while ago. I still fight it today.
Right.
One time me and Holly were out eating at Olive Garden after a church service, and it was the first real time I was really trying to lose weight, and I lost like 38 pounds. And we went to Olive Garden, and we'd been doing really good, but we were just going to semi-splurge. So I got a little bit of grilled chicken with some Alfredo sauce on top, yada yada, and I allowed myself a breadstick because I wasn't going to completely just deprive myself. So I did that, and then the lady brought us more, and I looked at it, and she said, "Don't do it." I went to reach for it, and the sister dumps her tea on it. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "It's a trick I learned when I lost all my weight."
Thank you, Helpy Helperton.
I was so mad. I was like, I wanted 5 breadsticks.
I know you didn't eat 5 breadsticks.
I didn't.
Did you?
I ate one and my chicken. I went home pouting.
And I do that like when I have leftovers and I know I'm going to take them home immediately and eat them. I'll dump ranch dressing all over. I'm like,
makes
forget
me
it.
so mad. Don't eat with Holly, y'all.
Or I'll dump like ketchup all over it, so it's ruined. You know, dumping ranch dressing may be not so bad, but I probably would eat it anyway with ranch dressing on it.
I would.
But ketchup or something, salt all over, or something to make it where it's unedible, so I can't go back and eat it. Some people will put part of their plate in a to-go box and set it aside. I can't do that. I'll just start eating out of the to-go box. Or I'll start eating it on the way home. Or when you're not looking all incognito and eat off your plate. I have no couth. I don't care. I'll eat off your plate. So leave it on the go to the restroom and see what happens.
So just for everybody out there, if you go out to eat with Sister Holly, go to the bathroom before the food comes, and then put your arm around your plate so that she can't get to it.
Well, here's what I do now that I've had the bypass and I can't, I've had these surgeries, so I can't eat very much. I want you to order something different and you to order something different so that I can try bites off of your plates, and then I just won't order anything.
That's one way to do it. It's that's not only a food saver, a stomach saver. It's also a money saver. So you're working on your financial issues as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, it also promotes divorce because Ray doesn't want to share his food with me. Have you ever heard of those weighted blankets? This is off subject, but have you ever seen those weighted blankets?
Your divorce blanket.
Ray calls it a divorce blanket because he said, I'm like, it's a nice big warm hug. And he said, no, it's a divorce blanket because I can't come anywhere near you.
Hey, it's hilarious. We've called it divorce blankets for years. We even got our pastor's wife saying it. It's the divorce blanket.
It is.
But they're still together all these years, so I guess it's...
Praise God.
I gave it away. I gave it to Emma.
She had to give it away.
I did. I gave it to Emma, so she uses my divorce blanket.
Well, she's not married, so it's okay.
Absolutely
That's
not.
hilarious.
We don't want her to get married anytime soon, so she can just continue to use it for a few more years.
I'll get her a second one.
So don't y'all find it so interesting? I mean, that in order for us to be successful in relationships and weight and health and financial things, ministry, or just relationships with God or relationships with people in general, that you almost kind of have to sort of go through some things to get there, to have that success.
Well, yeah, because relationships change.
Yeah.
People change. And, you hear of people who are getting divorced and they say, well, she's not the same as she was when we got married. He's not the same. Well, duh.
No.
I hope not.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years from now, they say, what is it? Every 7 years, your taste buds change, and things you may not have liked 7 years ago, you'll find like you love them now.
That's not true with me.
So
I still like pizza and tacos.
You only like chicken nuggets. She really has the palate of a 5-year-old. And I thought she was doing better because she was cooking. She's a cooking woman now.
I'm a cooking girl.
But. And
I do hamburger patties, Aaron.
There have been some things that she's like, oh, I tried this, and it's like some kind of honey whatever chicken.
I put the breadcrumbs on it that make it different, so it's the same chicken. But I try different flavors, and I convince my husband that I'm actually cooking.
Yeah,
that's so sweet.
He believes it.
It's a good thing that he's a smart man, but. He's a little.
He's a baby too.
His
palate is just as advanced as his wife's is.
He will eat black beans, and I will not.
Oh goodness gracious! But anyway, People get divorced and they say he's changed or she's changed. Well, duh. If your taste buds change every 7 years, why would you think that your likes and dislikes of other things would still be the same? Just because you liked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when you were 14 and they were the best thing ever, and they were the best thing ever, and your bedroom was decorated with them and you had them, doesn't mean when you're 24 you're still going to want your bedroom decorated with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're going to want the bed sheets, and you're going to want
her husband
my
is in the
husband
background
is in the
saying,
well,
I
yes,
do.
that's what he wants. He doesn't. He just likes to act like.
Well,
but,
and also, Aaron,
yeah.
I mean, from what you're saying is a lot of times, experiences change people.
Mm-hmm.
So experience changed me from the 15-year-old girl that I was.
Right.
Going through those hardships opened up my eyes to maybe that's not what I like. And maybe that thing does feel good in the moment, but I've got all these examples where it just ends up really bad, and I don't want that. And so, of course, you change over time because your experiences change.
So, Ray's not my first husband. I've been married 3 times. I was married when I was 17, which went over like a lead balloon. That didn't work out. Then I had another practice husband. That didn't last very long either. However, Ray and I have been together for 20 years. So we are not the same people, obviously, that we were 20 years ago.
Yes.
When we started our relationship, we were not in church, and I had never really been to church. I didn't even know how to look up a scripture.
Yeah.
So when I went and finally and really liked it, he joined me. And I believe, and I believe this because I've been married before him, but I believe that we would not be together if we had not gone to church together.
Yeah.
Because we grew spiritually at this maybe not the same speed, but at the same time we were both in pursuit. So I think that if our goal or the vision is the same, the end result, the goal is the same, then we're rowing in the same direction.
Yes.
What causes the friction is when one person's growing and the other person's not.
Yeah.
And that, has caused so much chaos. And there are relationships that have been severed in my life because of that reason. I saw this one time, and it said that don't cry over the relationships that God removes from your life, because he hears conversations that you don't hear. And so, I want to make sure that, I'm rowing in the same direction as my husband, as long as he's following Christ.
Right.
Yes.
Because that's the way God set it up.
Right.
And I think that we wouldn't be married if it wasn't for that. And I thank the Lord that he put us in a position, he positioned us to be able to last and expose us to, Christ and what he did for us.
Well, we have to realize, just like, and that's it, whether it be a relationship as a marriage relationship or whether it be a friendship, you have to grow together. Like, I have friends that I was friends with in high school that I'm no longer friends with, and not because they did something wrong or I did something wrong. We graduated and we grew apart. And then I have friends that I have one friend that we've been friends since I was born. When I was just a toddler crawling, I used to crawl from my house or walk from my house to her house down the street. We've been friends since I was born, and we can be away from each other for years, not be in the same room for years, and then as soon as we see each other again, it's right back in that same rhythm that it was our whole time growing up. But we did grow up together. You know, I know things about her that some other people may never know because I was with her when we were growing up. And she doesn't expect me to still be that 10-year-old girl. And I don't expect her to still be that 10-year-old girl. We know that life has changed us, but we can still be who we are together.
Yeah, and we also have to understand in relationships, we can't ever mistake growing apart or God removing someone from our life from our friend just going through a season.
Right.
Because there's seasons of your life that affect people's availability. Example, me. When I was single before I had a husband, I lived at both of y'all's houses. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now I could still do that. I wouldn't have a connection with my own husband, though.
Right.
You know, there's seasons that go through that, and I actually had to talk to our pastor about that because I was like, I don't know how to do all this, and I was advised you can't. He said it's just a season of your life. It's change, but that doesn't mean that relationship has to go away.
Right.
Right, and we had that discussion. I mean, I remember you calling me and being like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I have neglected you. And I was like, Megan, you're married.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to still be the same as it was before that.
I think I did, though.
Right.
I had that picture in my head.
Expectation, but the thing is that the reason why you had that expectation is because that had been your life for so many years, waiting on the blessing that God was going to give you. And me and Holly knew that your expectation of what was going to be was not anywhere close to what it was going to be, because we know, because we have husbands, we have kids, we know what that takes, and that there are times in your relationship, in your marriage, where you have more time for your friends.
Yes.
And then there are times when everything's going chaotic and your friends are just, you're just like, hey, I'll
Be
catch
patient
up
with me.
I'll catch up with you when I can, but right now life is just chaotic.
Yeah.
And the friends that are meant to be there will understand those seasons.
And survive them.
Yes, and survive them and be stronger on the other side of them than they were before. I mean, that's, you can't, in a relationship, in a friendship, you can't be selfish.
Some of my friends are seasonal. They just are. They're here for a season, and then, I don't see them for a long time, and then we catch back up, and then we pick up right where we left off. And some friends are not seasonal, and they're there. They're there for everything.
I'm there for everything.
But then I've got friends like my friend Janae. I will go around her and we automatically become giggling goofballs.
They get us in trouble in church, y'all.
And
we get looks from people because they can't sit together.
We just
cannot
laugh
sit together.
But it's like, but when it's time for serious, we know it's time for serious. But
sometimes y'all get it mixed up.
Sometimes we forget how to behave.
We forget how to be good sometimes. That's what Sister Holly's grandson says.
Just forgets. It's hard. So, but you just have some of those friends where you revert back to your teenage self and you just become goofy. But it doesn't mean you're not matured. It just means they bring that part of you out sometimes.
Which is good. I mean,
laughter is medicine.
You just need to just be goofy. You just need to let go and just be goofy. It's okay. It's okay to just be goofy sometimes.
Is it? What is this goofy you speak of?
Oh, whatever.
This is new information.
It is your 98% lifestyle. Like, you have 2% serious.
Hey, so I was teaching at our church has a rehab that is through there and connected to it. A woman out of our church, Sister Jamie, started a ministry. Our pastor was there visiting and doing a one-on-one with one of the the people there, and I'm picking my words wisely, y'all. And anyway, while I was inside and I was just being me, and he walked in, he said, "Are you teaching Bible study?" And I was like, "Right now, no, I'm just laughing. But in a minute, we're gonna get to that part."
In a minute, we're gonna get serious.
Yes.
Right now,
I can feel the serious coming on, but it's not on yet.
Yeah. Hey, it's that. I mean, so we did a lock-in for our sisterhood girls at our church a couple weeks ago, and we had plenty of serious moments with some funny sprinkled in. So we'd have a lesson, and then we sent them chasing around the church looking for clues and a scavenger hunt. And then we'd have serious, and then we set them down and we did facials. And then we have a serious, and then we played musical chairs. Because who doesn't love musical chairs? I mean, seriously.
Hey, I started earlier. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I started earlier talking about there's no competition with me because I want you to win. I'm sorry, I lied. I have to confess, Lord Jesus, forgive me. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I want to win, and I will push you down to do it.
Sister Holly is...
I don't play to lose. I play to win.
It is so funny because our church is like, we are the most loving church there is. Like,
you put a game in it.
People will come into the church and they're like scared sometimes because people are like rushing them to give them hugs. But you take those same people that are like hugging everybody and telling everybody they love them, and you put a kickball in front of them.
Oh, it's on, baby.
And we've had
your teeth eat the dust.
We thought there was a broken ankle at one of our kickball. We don't play dodgeball. It would be scary to play dodgeball. At one of our kickball tournaments, we had a guy fall down a hill at one of the kickball tournaments. We've had people kicked. We almost had a knockdown drag out one time. I mean, like, these people and our pastor. Oh, my watch is talking to me. Our pastor is... Our pastor is the worst. I mean, like, when it comes to that, like, there is not a single person more competitive than our pastor. Like, he is in it to win it. And and he is a sore loser. If he does not win, now he'll shake your hand and he'll hug your neck, but he does not like to lose, and he has ingrained that in the people in our church. And so if there's a game to be played, you better believe that everybody is playing to win. And our pastor does not believe in second place trophies.
No.
So
second place is the first loser.
You either win or you lose, and those are the only two options. And I've seen more people being taken out in games at the church. Sister Sarah one time ran around the corner and fell.
The chairs were
chairs. Oh my god!
Do you remember, Holly? They made a video and they played it over and over.
We've played the video for people at work. Oh, I remember.
Oh, so I mean, we've had
poor Sarah.
It's one of those you have to think. Okay. How bad do I want to win? Am I willing to lose a limb? Because it's a possibility.
It's only for games that I'm competitive. Everything else, I really honestly want you to win. Honestly do.
But if it is a Shadrack's card, or a Chick-fil-A card, or a Dairy Queen card, you're going down.
I was called a narcissist earlier because I...
That's okay. I was called a psycho last week because my son come in and I was listening to our first podcast, the first episode when it came out, and my son come in and he said, "Are you listening to your own podcast?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Are you laughing at your own podcast?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "You may be psycho." I was like, I cannot help that I am enjoying our podcast. I just hope everybody else enjoys it as much as I am. And he's like, you're weird. So, okay. So guys, we are at time. I do want to let you guys know we have a email. Our email is kickdon'tquitpod@gmail.com. So if you would like to send us a message, if you have anything you want to say to us, good, bad, ugly, send it. We'd be more than happy. If you have any questions for us, anything you'd like to know, please send that to our email. We're also on Facebook at Kick It Don't Quit It. We're on Instagram. I think it's Kick It Don't Quit It as well on Instagram. And then, of course, our YouTube page, Kick It Don't Quit It. And then, of course, you can listen to the podcast on either Spotify or Apple Podcast. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.